Jennifer from the EDC is here. Good morning.
Good morning.
I was just letting you know that Karin represented the EDC quite well at the North Mason Gala last Saturday night. It was a good time at the Alderbrook. And
Stephanie always puts on a great show.
oh, it was a lot of fun.
Not to mention the cornhole tournament that she put together this year.
That was a good time.
First annual, maybe.
First annual. I mean, people really enjoyed it. And Darren Isley from our community credit union, as I mentioned this morning, did a great job setting up the brackets.
Oh, very nice.
And, you know, sometimes when you get to play these games, you know, people will be like ready to go, gung-ho and excited to play, and then something will happen and they may have to take off, or they'll go, boy, this is later than I thought. And
right.
But he did a great job on the fly of getting things all situated for everybody. And
very nice. Who won?
Well, it was the Hoodstock team who won. They were one of the sponsors, but they did a good job playing as well. So they got in there, and Great Bend got third. And I cannot remember now who got second place, but it was a lot of fun, and people were having a great time.
Did they bring clothes to change into for their sport, or did they stay dressed up in their fancy
Some people
clothes?
did. Some people did bring a change of clothes before we got things going.
Well, you got to make sure range of motion is pretty important.
That's it. We'll get you
have to change your top.
signed up for this one next year. What's going on with the EDC at ChooseMason.com?
Well, we wanted to do a big thank you to our sponsors for our annual luncheon that we had on Wednesday.
Yeah.
A thank you to our speakers. I'll start with a big thank you to Karin Leaf for the efforts that she put into putting that together.
Sure.
I had the horrible cold and was unable to speak, so a very, very giant thank you to Joel Meyer, who stepped in.
He took over that part, too.
And read my report as Jennifer, which was fun. So a very big thank you to our sponsors, our community credit union, Taylor Shellfish, Alderbrook Resort. That was a beautiful day, absolutely gorgeous. And Port of Shelton. I think that's the first time we've had our annual luncheon at Alderbrook where you could actually walk out to the dock, the blue sky, see the mountains. Because in February, you usually don't get.
Flip a coin on that
right.
one. Flip a coin. Cool.
And we had Department of Commerce, Dr. Lisa Brown was our speaker, and I thought she did a great job. She's been in that position now a year, and to be able to talk about how what it is that we do really builds the economy, how we talk about economic development in everyday life, and how, you know, it's not just the EDC that's working on economic development.
Yeah.
There's so much of it that touches on it. I mean, we had Peninsula Credit Union put together an affordable housing summit and wrapped in how that impacts our economy, how important it is to realize that if you can't house the people, the workers won't be there. And if you don't have the workers, then the businesses aren't looking at you.
That's exactly right.
We're all kind of connected, and how important it is to remain connected, to be able to talk with your city officials, your county officials, your port officials, people that are doing that work for economic development every day, need those partnerships, need that feedback.
Congressman Denny Heck from the 10th was there as well, and as he gets ready to close that chapter of being a congressman representing parts of Mason County, what were some of the things that he had to say?
I think it was interesting that he talked about really understanding what that impact is, what it is that you can do in your community to help support economic development. It is, if anybody's looked at affordable housing, and I think we've all talked about how it impacts us. It's not an easy thing to fix. Homelessness that impacts us, it is not an easy thing to fix. So how can we start kind of moving the needle within our own community that will help regionally, statewide, and then on a federal level? How do we bring people in to move that needle?
How are things going in your guys' effort to find some folks to come in and offer up some lodging for people?
That's the longest way it's ever been put. It's going pretty good. We have...
I wanted to say, Where's the dang hotel? Cut that ribbon already.
I know, and I wish it was that simple. We have an additional site visit this month. We've got a conversation with 2 developers.
Cool.
They are just moving through it pretty quickly. I know that we started it in February, and it's February now, and it's been a year. And in my head, I want it to move faster as well, but it really does. When you're talking recruitment, it really does take time. So I think once we've got about 4 developers that are moving forward.
Wow.
And they're kind of moving forward at the same pace. So it's going to be pretty interesting to see who is the first one and who gets that first initial shovel ready, groundbreaking ceremony, and who's the second one who's going to be like, man,
just missed it.
Is that going to affect is that going to affect plans for that boutique one in Allen that they've been talking about since we moved here? They've had signs saying small hotels going up there by the waterfront, right by the boathouse.
I don't think it will affect the owner's plans to move forward with that. The clientele for that is a much different kind of demographic than what would be housed down here. They're looking at, like you said, a boutique hotel. It's a much smaller, very specific to coming out and enjoying Allen, the beautiful water. You're sitting right there. I think the owner's really looking at how to move that forward and working with the county on being able to, it's right there on the water. So if you have to work through something in your life that wants to be the hardest thing, work in Washington on the water, it makes it a struggle. So,
are there ways, this just came into my brain, are there ways that just the average citizen in Mason County can do something more to either elevate the status of the county or just bring more eyes to the county? Is you got a hashtag Mason County or hashtag beautiful or something? Are there things other than you professionals in the office that call on folks that do this for a living? Is there a groundswell effort that can be done by the citizenry of the county to I don't know, tweet at somebody, say come here, or how does that do anything?
It does do part of the work. So you're looking at, we are in a time where by the time the developer or the investor looks at our area, they have already started looking at our websites, the city's websites, the county's websites. They're looking at Facebook messaging. They're looking at how engaged the community is. They're looking at what the impact our citizens have on development moving forward. So I think if you keep your message toward the positive side, the optimistic outlook of what it is that we have to offer, being able to say, we might not have this now, it's something we need, we're here to support XYZ, whatever is coming, being able to have that community saying, we love where we are here to support. We already support the county. We already support the port and their business development efforts. That lends its voice to the work that we're doing, because the work that we're doing is building more of that infrastructure side of it, making sure that our land is ready, making sure that we have land that's available. We're not going to, at least not yet, be the community that has an empty 100,000 square foot building, just waiting for the tenant who needs exactly 100,000 square foot building. But we do have that land, so making sure that those utilities are to it, really kind of as a community member looking at what those efforts are and figuring out how to support it. The county just recently brought 600 acres into the UGA. And there were a few people that questioned the need for it. So really doing your homework and saying, we don't have industrial property here in the Shelton UGA that is on a sewer. John's Prairie properties are all septic properties right now. The sewer is about, I want to say, 3 miles away. So while that's a goal for the city and the county for that to eventually grow up and still hold that industrial side of it. Let's look at where there are areas that already have that infrastructure. There's water, there's sewer, there's power down the Dayton Airport Road to be able to, house those public entities that are there. Well, there's nothing stopping other people from being able to hook up and to utilize that infrastructure. I mean, it was millions of dollars of infrastructure, but if that land wasn't within the UGA, we can't even market it as a place for businesses to be able to look at. So being able to really kind of take the conversations that are happening and say, why would we need the 600 acres? As a community member saying, all right, county, tell me why, and understanding that impact and being able to support those efforts as they move forward. And on social media is the best place to be able to support it.
Sure.
We can get some pretty negative comments on social media, and not we specifically, but everybody kind of just any effort will always house some negative side to it. So
I'm sure it will. Well, it's good conversations to have, and especially as everybody kind of knows different people in different aspects of life, they can say, hey, we were at the dinner at the gala, and one of the things that people were talking about was just how great the community is of people. Mm-hmm. Like a restaurant. So we sat between Casey's Bar and Burger Claim, those two couples, and so they were talking back and forth about how they're not competition because it's different. One's a family restaurant, one's a bar, but they like the competition. They like to see new business come in. It spurs a little bit of friendly competitiveness,
right.
And just to kind of adds to the great portfolio of the county. We were talking with Jamie Mell last week with Riveting Radio Real Estate about how folks, we've all heard about how people move from Seattle to Tacoma to Olympia to Shelton. Now people are even moving out further.
Right.
And so there's a lot of opportunities there for somebody.
And while they want to live out in the beautiful rural area, they still want the amenities close.
Yeah.
So being able to access that and being able to pull that in.
Jennifer, good to see you.
You as well. Thank you so much for having me.